Good afternoon, happy Hanukkah, and Merry Christmas. It's Sunday, December 25th. I'm Aryeh O'Sullivan, and this is IBA News broadcasting from Jerusalem. A huge explosion rocked Haifa Bay this morning after a fuel tank at the Bazan refinery went up in flames, threatening other installations at the massive complex. Over 4 to 5 fighting teams are at this hour still working to contain the blaze, which reignited in the afternoon after crews first managed to take control of the situation earlier in the day. Main arteries near the Haifa industrial zone were closed down, and traffic in the surrounding area came to a complete halt. A spokesman for the fire services said the tank held some 1,000 cubic liters of gasoline. It's still not clear how the fire started. Initial statement by the Ministry of Environmental Protection said the explosion occurred during the emptying of a tanker carrying gasoline, but that has yet to be confirmed. The ministry opened a situation room to coordinate between rescue teams and assess the level of pollution and its potential damage to the local residents. Today's blaze comes nearly 1 month after the city of Haifa was ravaged by a series of wildfires that destroyed hundreds of homes and led to the evacuation of thousands of residents. Israeli government officials view the UN Security Council resolution passed on Friday night as a slap in the face by the outgoing U.S. President Barack Obama, who they say has done nothing but hold disdain for the Jewish state ever since he became president. Speaking at the start of today's cabinet meeting, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he echoes that position, calling the resolution the harshest and most unbalanced resolution ever passed against Israel in the Security Council. Netanyahu charged that there is no doubt that the Obama administration initiated the move, stood behind it, and coordinated its details. He urged that this was in complete opposition to previously declared policies by the U.S., which committed not to push a permanent solution on Israel in the international body. Netanyahu stressed Obama explicitly vowed to avoid such unilateral steps, saying Washington's abstention was a departure from its long-standing position to protect Israel from what it views as unbalanced resolutions at the UN. Earlier today, the Prime Minister instructed the Foreign Ministry to summon the ambassadors of the countries that supported the anti-settlement resolution for a dressing down. A total of 10 envoys were invited for a Christmas Day scolding, despite the fact that today is a non-working day for them. Among the list were ambassadors from Russia, China, Japan, Ukraine, France, Britain, Angola, Egypt, Uruguay, and Spain. The U.S. ambassador was not summoned. At the same time, Netanyahu also canceled the visit of his Ukrainian counterpart, who was to come to Jerusalem this week, instructed the ambassadors from New Zealand and Senegal to return to Israel for consultations, and announced that Israel will stop funding some UN institutions. Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman today instructed Major General Yoav Mordechai, the coordinator of activities in the territories, to immediately cease all meetings with the Palestinian leadership in response to the UN Security Council vote. However, the defense minister instructed the IDF to continue to work with the Palestinian security forces to coordinate on security matters, which he said was vital in ensuring calm in the area. Meanwhile, officials are vowing to overcome the UN's resolution, saying it's completely absurd to call the Western Wall occupied territory. IBA's Margaret Dudkevich has this report.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the UN Security Council decision shameful and despicable, saying it refers to Israeli land, including the Western Wall, as occupied territory. Speaking last night at a Hanukkah lighting ceremony, Netanyahu rejected the vote outright, saying not only does the decision fail to advance peace, but in fact stands in the way of achieving it. Israel will not accept the decision, he said, vowing to cancel it, even though it may take time. 14 Security Council members out of 15 voted for the resolution that condemns Israel's settlement activity, calls it to return to the 1967 borders, and immediately cease all settlement activity in occupied Palestine and East Jerusalem. No one voted against the resolution, and the United States chose to abstain. Addressing the UN Security Council, Israel's ambassador Danny Danon criticized the assembly, saying no one has the right to change history.
By voting yes in favor of this resolution, you have in fact voted no. You voted no to negotiations. You voted no to progress and a chance for better lives for Israelis and Palestinians. And you voted no to the possibility of peace. This resolution today will be added to the long and shameful list of anti-Israel UN resolutions. Instead of charting a course forward, you are sending a message to the Palestinians that they should continue on the path of terrorism and incitement, that they should continue to hold their own people hostage, that they should continue to seek meaningless statements from the international community.
US Ambassador to the UN Samantha Power said the decision to abstain in the vote is fully in line with bipartisan history on how American presidents approached the issue. At the same time, she chided the forum for continuing to hold bias against Israel, noting because the US did not agree with the entire text of the resolution, a decision was made to vote against it.
We believe, though, that continued settlement building seriously undermines Israel's security. Some may cast the U.S. vote as a sign that we have finally given up on a two-state solution. Nothing could be further from the truth. None of us can give up on a two-state solution. We continue to believe that that solution is the only viable path to provide peace and security for the State of Israel and freedom and dignity for the Palestinian people.
No international body can undermine the fact that a united Jerusalem is the eternal capital of Israel, President Reuven Rivlin said in response to the UN vote, calling it embarrassing, grave, and an unfortunate decision. He said it's unfortunate that Israel's greatest ally, the United States, who has stood by Israel for so many years, chose not to stand by its side this time around. The decision only pushes negotiations with the Palestinians further away, he said. President Rivlin added he would light a Hanukkah candles tomorrow night in the settlement of Beit El. As expected, the Palestinian leadership welcomed the vote, calling it a victory for the Palestinian people and a day of hope, saying that it has shown that the international community rejects the government of Israel's settlement policy.
This is a day of hope, a day of peace. This is a victory for those who believe in peace, who believe in the two-state solution, and this is a total defeat for those forces of extremism in Israel who believe in destroying the two-state solution and achieving and sustaining the apartheid regime that they're building in the West Bank. We hope that this clear message to the Israeli people is that they must accept the international community's call to stop settlement activities, to stop the occupation.
While insisting that President Barack Obama has finally exposed his true face, Netanyahu said Israel is looking forward to working with President-elect Donald Trump and its friends in the Congress to undo the damage of the absurd resolution. Reacting to the developments, President-elect Donald Trump vowed on his personal Twitter account that the situation at the United Nations will change once he takes over at the White House next month. Margot Dudkevich, IBA News.
Becky Norton Dunlap, a senior official in Trump's transitional team, says Israel could easily rely on the president-elect. Dunlap made the remarks in an interview with Israel Television's Yaakov Achimeir during a visit to Israel last week. The interview was taped before the UN Security Council vote.
One is a great compliment to Israel that the president has announced so early who his ambassador designate will be. This usually doesn't happen until after the president is sworn into office and has a month or two under his belt. So I think that tells the people of Israel how very interested President Trump is in the relationship. I understand that Mr. Friedman is somewhat controversial, but I think it's important for the people of Israel to understand the ambassador represents the president.
He doesn't make the decision.
And the people of the United States. His voice will be heard in the councils of government. But Mr. Trump, President Trump, will be the one who sets the policy course. I don't know Mr. Friedman, but I have read about him in the newspaper, and I know he's very vocal. I think the important thing to keep in mind, he's passionate about the U.S.-Israeli relationship. And he is passionate about what he believes is in the best interest of Israel, and also what is in the best interest of America. And I think that's a very good trait for an ambassador. They have to have strong feelings that they can be heard in the councils of government, But believe you me, there'll be many other voices that chime in. And then the president will have to listen, and he's a very good listener. He will listen to all of the arguments. He will think about where he wants to take America, and then he will make his decisions, and his ambassador will carry out the president's goals.
How do you see the future personal relations between Mr. Netanyahu, the present Prime Minister of Israel, and Mr. Trump after the 20th of January?
My own instinct is that they'll be very good. My sense is that both men speak their minds. They're not shy. And they both are passionate about making their countries great. And so my sense is that they will have a very good relationship, perhaps some give and take.
A manhunt continues for the terrorist who stabbed 50-year-old Rafi Lisker 4 times in the back before fleeing in the community of Efrat Friday night. Lisker was taken to hospital where his condition was described as moderate. Recalling the events of the attack, Lisker said he and his wife had been walking on the street where they live when he was attacked. His wife fled to a nearby house to alert authorities and seek help, and he attempted to fight off the terrorist who fled after he began shouting out loud, "Terrorist!" And an investigation revealed that the terrorist wandered inside the community for 40 minutes before the attack without being detected. Doctors at the Ziv Medical Center in Safed are fighting for the life of a 3-year-old girl who was critically injured when the family's car overturned and plunged into the Jordan River in the Jordan Valley yesterday afternoon. The girl's 21-year-old mother sustained head injuries, and the father, who was lightly injured, was treated at the site. According to the initial findings by police, the family's vehicle swerved when turning a corner, and the driver lost control, causing the vehicle to overturn and fall into the river. The Rishon LeZion Magistrates Court extended the remand of Knesset member Bassel Ghatas until Tuesday as police continue to investigate him on allegations of transferring cellular phones to Palestinian security prisoners incarcerated in the Ketziot prison in the south. Last Thursday, Ghatas announced he was giving up his immunity. Shortly after, he was arrested by police and detained for questioning. Meanwhile, his office at the Knesset has been locked and his aides and staff are barred from entering. At Friday's hearing, police told the court that there is firm bias that the concerns releasing Ghatas would lead to the obstruction of justice. Authorities in Tunisia have arrested 3 men, including the nephew of Anis Amari, the Tunisian national suspected of perpetrating the truck ramming attack at Berlin's Christmas market last week, killing 12 people, and was shot dead in Milan, Italy on Friday. The detainees are suspected of belonging to a terrorist organization and possible involvement in the Berlin attack. The manhunt for Amri came to an end on Friday night when he was shot dead in a gun battle with Italian police in Milan. The Italian authorities said the policeman approached the terrorist and asked him for identity papers when he withdrew a gun and opened fire, wounding one of the policemen before he was shot dead. European security officials are now investigating how Amri succeeded in fleeing from Germany via Belgium and France to Italy without being detected. Meanwhile, over the weekend, the Islamic State released a videotape showing Amri pledging allegiance to their leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi and vowing to slaughter the crusaders who are shelling the Muslims. Today marks the first day of the Hanukkah holiday and the lighting of the second candle, ushering in the Festival of Lights. Last night, soldiers of the Armored Corps Tank Brigade deployed along the Gaza Strip, as well as female soldiers who monitor the southern border, gathered together to light the first candle and herald in the holiday. In its traditional Christmas blessing, Pope Francis urged peace around the world, calling on Israel and the Palestinians to have the courage and determination to write what he called a new page of history, where hate and revenge give way to the will to build together a future of mutual understanding and harmony. Speaking in front of a crowd of some 40,000 followers from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, the 80-year-old Pope called on Syria to put an end to the ongoing bloodshed, also urging for peace in Iraq, Libya, and Yemen. Meanwhile, thousands of pilgrims flocked to the West Bank city of Bethlehem to take part in the traditional Christmas midnight mass in the Church of the Nativity, believed by Christians to be the birthplace of Jesus. Among those attending the mass were Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and Palestinian Prime Minister Rami Hamdallah. During the mass, acting Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, Pier Battista Pizzabella, welcomed many tourists from around the world in their native languages. Festivities in Bethlehem seem more vibrant this time around as tourism inside the Palestinian territories experienced a general hike this year in comparison to the previous years.
Bethlehem is the place where Jesus is born, so it's a special day for us to come. It's the first day that we are here on the 24th of December, so we celebrate it together with everybody. Is happy here, singing on the streets, there is life. It's great to be here.
It's our first time in here, so it's really special for us to come here in the Christmas Eve, and we really appreciate being here.
It's Sunday, and in keeping with our weekly tradition, here are 5 good news stories that may give you a cheerful boost to start the week off. Israeli windsurfer Yoav Omer won the gold in the boys' RSX race in the Youth Sailing World Championships held last week in New Zealand. Israel's Technion opened its new Global Cancer Research Center in Haifa. The center is the first of its kind hub aimed at developing new diagnostic tools and treatments. The IDF has launched new online courses designed to help high school students better prepare for their interviews and exams while applying for future positions in the Army's tech units. The city of Jerusalem this week kicks off its new fund for financing early-stage startups for students in the capital. Called Fresh.Fund, the initiative hopes to provide young, aspiring entrepreneurs experience and funding in investment. And just in time for the holidays, a great gift idea highlighting Israel's creative achievement and innovation. Published by Chronicle Books, the Goodie Box includes books, DVDs, pictures, and even a limited edition scarf. In finance news, no change in the shekel with currency markets closed for the weekend, and the stock exchange is starting the week down. Turning to the weather, and it will continue to be rainy, mainly in the north and center of the countries. There will also be scattered thunder showers, and snow will fall on the Mount Hermon. Flood warnings are in effect in the coastal regions, and the rain is expected to spread to the Negev tomorrow night. Here are the expected highs and lows at home and abroad. That's all for today. I'm Mario Sullivan. I'll be back at this desk tomorrow to bring you the latest news from Israel. Until then, thanks for watching. A very Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah, and Shalom from Jerusalem.